to switch the maps. Video got cut off. Okay. We were just discussing why we think we need laws to tell us what to do, when in fact, if we were familiar and aware of natural law, we would know exactly what to do. We would understand completely our connection to what I call Trog, what other people call God, higher source, creative intelligence, etc. We would understand the mechanism by which all things are governed through natural law, and this would inherently provide and clarify the ethics and moral standards by which to live. Instead, we're so disconnected. We live in a world fundamentally that looks so drastically different from the potential that we should be, could be, and I believe will be living in. And so every example put forth on the pro-abortion side regarding what are understood to be, I'm not taking a side on this, just spelling things out, understood to be legitimate reasons to terminate a life or to abort a baby. Every single one of those could be resolved, solved, explained in a society, a planet of 100 billion, a society of 10 people, whatever it is, if those people were living under natural law. Okay? So we went with the extreme of a planet of just a bunch of Jesuses, male and female, kids, old, etc. And if you can envision who Jesus is, none of those situations would ever manifest. Or, in the case of the ones which is the birth is creating a complication, and now the family has to decide the baby or the mom. And now this overturning is not going to allow us to do it. In that situation, do you not think that the people involved, if they are as elevated in consciousness as a human, as the example we put forth as Jesus, do you think they would not know the right decision to make? That they would be guided by nothing other than their heart and love in determining the best outcome? I'm not for a moment saying that there still wouldn't be some sort of a tragedy, but really the argument is coming down to the mechanism by which to make that decision. Okay. You're probably saying, yeah, well, this isn't a planet of Jesus's, and, I can't even picture that, but it's not going to happen here, blah, 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 blah. All right. Let's bring it back to Earth. Let's look at an example that is not a group of Jesus's, but let's look at a type of society that used to exist more prevalently, who were more connected to Trog, to nature, to source. Think of any of the shamanic tribal peoples that maybe you know about. First ask yourself the question, where are they? Oh, they couldn't keep up with the times? No, they were eradicated. Wow. What? Why not? Didn't they want an iPhone? No, it's because their way of life represented and displayed a level of freedom that the dark state recognized as dangerous to their ability to enslave and control people. You see, if there's a group of people that live outside of the bounds of Western law, and they can demonstrate that it is a very good life, other people might think that they should live that way. And we can't be having that. We need people to adhere to all the rules and regulations. Keep them distracted, paying taxes and going to soccer practice and all that kind of stuff. Okay? they were wiped out virtually to extinction, right? There's tiny little pockets hidden away because they were exhibiting a level of connection to source, to Trog, a level of freedom that would pose a problem to those that seek to control us. Okay? But imagine, real or fictitious, a tribal shamanic group that's connected to nature. And then think of every example that this post and whatever the pro-abortion side comes up with as reasons to legitimize it. And then think of our planet of Jesuses and picture this tribe and ask yourself, how would they address these situations? Would these situations even exist? Would psychopathy be allowed in this type of setting? The answer is no. We must now make the connection that it is psychopathy that is dictating how we live. Those in control are truly psychopaths from the very nature that they seek to control other people. Okay? We're now bridging the anarchy argument here. As you zoom out on this and you see this Supreme Court decision is a very volatile, hot button issue, but it speaks so directly not just to the division and distraction, but as you zoom out and we start to paint these other scenarios of the Jesus world and the shamanic tribal people, and you say, wait a second, why aren't we living like that? What is holding us back from that? Because if what they came up with was actually effective, if the rules and laws and the education system and everything else was actually working, then why would the world be as fucked up as it is right now? Okay, everything's inverted. While it says it will fix this, it is really creating the opposite. So, in this case of abortion, what are all the conditions that seem so ripe that lead to the situations in which someone is considering an abortion? That's really where this conversation is trying to steer you. Not in that visceral, hot emotion of the game time decision of, am I going to keep it or not? No. It's not what this is about. The only reason I keep bringing that up is to suggest, to begin to channel that emotion towards truth to help solve for yourself, resolve for yourself what is causing that, and to redirect your focus so that you can better understand what it is that's triggering you. This is in no way trying to solve the issue in the 3D face value of pro or against abortion. We're trying to understand the causal factors that are leading to the conditions and situations in which this would even be manifest. So bring it back to the shamanic tribal people. First of all, rarely would there ever be the instance where this idea is even, where abortion is being considered. As people come to understand cosmic law, natural law, as people come to understand what their human rights are, how the mechanism of natural law functions. For every cause there's an effect. For every effect there was a cause. Once you are in alignment with truth and cosmic law, one becomes more inherently ethical, more inherently moral. One becomes more like Jesus. This is what we're focused on, this planet of the Jesuses, the Jesus. See all these government bodies and institutions that are telling you what to do, which I don't really pay attention to that much anyway, only exist as a construct because you believe that they need to exist. You believe that there would be chaos without them, so you allow them to make laws. All law naturally exists independent of any man proclaiming it so, because it exists independently of that man or woman's recognition of it. That is natural law. But if you become susceptible to any one of man's laws by thinking it's necessary, then you're going to think they're all necessary. Natural law exists regardless of your acceptance or recognition of it. Your alignment to natural law naturally leads you to become more ethical and more moral. Coming back to our tribal shamanic people, and just go ahead and overlay every single reason that an abortion would be desired, and tell me if the conditions would even have existed for that situation to have manifested, or in the case where it would have, one comes to understand that within the alignment to truth and to Trog, the decision that needs to be made within a specific situation does not become as confusing and convoluted as we have been led to believe. We are so jumbled in our mind. The world looks so differently than it ought to, that when something happens, we don't know how to figure out the answers, so we turn to another authority or body to tell us what is right and what is wrong. And then when they manipulate that by making rules and overturning them, it further confuses everything, and we're left saying, wait a second. And so your emotion and your attachment to whatever your opinion is, many times is rooted in something real and tied to something of truth, but you're trying to navigate it through a maze-like system that was never intended for you to better understand anything or to provide clarity, and that is why you're having such difficulty here. Again, it is not that your emotion is unvalidated or unwarranted, or that your opinion on something is not even right. It's that we have been so led down a path of an inverted world that we cannot make heads or tails of what's happening. And then when something does happen, we do not know how to make a decision because we are disconnected from source. That is ultimately what this is all about. That is what has been occulted from us. That is how we are controlled and manipulated. Okay? They know who we are, what we are capable of. They know it so well that they know how to manipulate every single thing about us. If only we could come to understand who we are, what we are, how we operate, then we could control ourselves. We could govern ourselves. That's anarchy. The examples that causes everyone such discontent and wild, violent emotions, screaming at the top of their lungs, "This is my right, this is my right." In the world we are trying to actually achieve, these situations wouldn't present themselves. So it's like they've got you fighting a battle wrapped up and put over here. It's again, it's having you expend your energy on something that is never going to provide a solution, because the problem was created within a larger construct So even if you reach a resolution within that, hey, they voted in my side, or they overturned it to my camp, right? Even the win in the larger scope is not as real as it may seem, because these are all just manipulated mechanisms to divert you from the actual truth. And if it hasn't sunk in yet, the truth is that natural law is real. It is everything. Omnipresent, omniscient, whatever. It's fucking everywhere all the time. It's acting with or without your recognition and acknowledgement of it. And if people hold in their mind what we'll call the fantasy planet of the Jesus, and then imagine the tribal groups of people that existed in peace and harmony within their contained unit, that can solve problems as they arise, that would not have these other problems because they have not been conditioned and programmed to think and act in such a way that allowed society to go fucking crazy in the last few hundred years. That's why they eradicated, to almost near extinction, the American Indians and any of the other similar tribal peoples anywhere they went, because they represented a life of truth, a life of connection. So I'll leave it there. This video has gotten quite long. I hope some of that has sunk in and it leaves you something to chew on. The goal is that it inspires you to go deeper in yourself, to pursue truth with greater vigor, to uncover what has been hidden from us, so that you may begin or continue on the path of human ascension while you are incarnated here as the person that you are. That's what we're here for. We can come to know natural law, Trog, and live in harmony. But we must recognize what is really going on and what forces are at play that are manipulating your thoughts, which correspond to your emotions, which result in your actions. Take those back. Be the sovereign owner of your thoughts, emotions, and actions. Come to know truth.